Today we're going to go over 3 ways you can clean your cast iron while camping without wasting precious water. Coming up. I'm Drew and this is Evergreen Overland. On this channel we do reviews on camping and overland gear, we showcase 4x4 vehicle modifications, and we hone our outdoor cooking skills and techniques, a lot like one we're going to talk about today. Now in my personal life, along with when I'm out camping, I really use cast iron to cook a lot. It really absorbs and transfers heat really well, and it holds onto that heat for quite a while after the flame is off of it to keep the meal hot and ready to serve. Now one of the struggles with cast iron is the whole cleaning process, and being that you really don't want to use soap. When I'm at home, I'll typically use a little bit of water in the pan to steam and boil and just kind of loosen up the food particles so it makes it easier for scraping out and cleaning. But when I go camping, I'm typically not bringing a ton of water. Water weighs a little over 8 pounds per gallon, so it's something that I really try to conserve and calculate how much I'm going to need for a trip. So anything I can do to avoid using water, the better. The specific cast iron that I use out camping actually is this little Lodge combo. Got a deeper sided saucepan and then a more shallow sided skillet, and they mate together to form a lid no matter which way you want to go, which is super cool and handy to have. Here are the steps I typically take to clean my cast iron when I'm out camping. The first step is probably just to have a really consistent program for re-seasoning and resealing your cast iron so that the non-stick surface is maintained. We'll talk a little bit about seasoning your cast iron after each use a little bit later in the video. My first step and the first couple of tools that I use right out of the gate is typically going to be scraping the pot down as well as you can with whatever tool you're using. Or what I really like is Lodge has these little pan scrapers that have rounded edges that fit the bevels and the sides of the pan pretty well. This just gives you a nice small little rigid scraper that you can really get in there and use some elbow grease to clean off any of the big chunks of food. Now another tool to use if the scraper's just not cutting it is a little chainmail dish pad. And this does a very similar job to what the scraper does, except it allows you just more surface area and more little points that can, you know, scrape away food. It definitely works well and honestly just gives you a little bit more leverage coming straight down on a pan where you can scrape away any of the food particles. Last but definitely not least, if I clean off all the big chunks of food using the scraper or the chainmail, I'll usually finish it up by using just a little bit of kosher salt. Now this is a nice, you know, Himalayan pink salt or whatever. I usually keep a cheap little thing of iodized table salt with a little pour spout on it. We used all of that to do some weed killer for around the house, so I've got to replenish my stock there. What this is just a nice little abrasive, almost like a sandpaper. Heck, in a pinch, you could definitely use sand if you're camping on the beach or whatever, as long as you could get all of it out of your pot at the end of the cleaning session. But I use some salt coupled with a nice heavy duty shop towel, and I'll typically, when I'm cooking, take a shop towel and rip it in half so that I can kind of have 2 separate dry, clean pieces that I try to conserve as much as possible. You don't want to just be using up tons and tons of paper towels on the trail, and these ones, being that they're heavy duty, hold up a lot better than like your traditional kitchen paper towel would. Now with the salt, I typically use a decent amount, probably about a tablespoon I'd say, in the pan, and I just slowly work it around with a shop towel, scraping up. The abrasiveness of the salt really works to get that little last layer of food scraped away and cleaned from the pan so it's not going to mold on you. All right, now I said without wasting water on this, not that you necessarily couldn't use water at all. If you have water in excess, go ahead and use it. Like I was saying, I try to conserve as much as I can. One thing that I do use camping is a 2-bottle system for cleaning and conserving water. I use soapy water that I have pre-mixed up typically, and then just 1 bottle of clean water for rinsing. So this works just to give a quick little mist of some water to a hot pan to release any small amounts of food particles if you absolutely need it. Like I said, we were going to talk about seasoning a little bit. Really, the key is pretty simple. Get your pans nice and dried off so that there's no water on them, and get the heat going. And then just take whatever cooking oil you're using. At home, I use Crisco. During camping, I usually just use avocado oil or olive oil. And with a chunk of dry towel, just give a nice even coat to all the surfaces that you can. And you really want just a very thin layer of oil. You just want it to be a pretty microscopic thin layer. Usually I bring the heat up until they just start to smoke a little bit. This one's starting to. Give them one quick wipe down to get any additional oil off, and then I just let it come down in temperature until it's safe to put it back away in the storage bin. Thanks for watching the video. I really do appreciate it. I hope this was a little bit informative for you. If you like this video and want to be notified when I release a new one, please hit the subscribe button and mash that like button to let me know I've done a good job. Check out my other videos on the channel. I threw links in the description to all the products that I used in this video down below. If you want to follow those links over to Amazon and purchase anything, it would really help out the channel and I'd appreciate it greatly. If you have any questions, please throw them in the comment section below. I definitely love interacting with you guys and kind of building this community out a little bit. If you want to follow more about Evergreen Overland, you can check out what I'm doing over on Instagram at Evergreen Overland, as well as evergreenoverland.com. Have a good day.